Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Shodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Kalachandji Radha Kalachandji Radhe. Jaya Radha Kalachandji Radha Kalachandji Radhe. Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Gaura Premanande Haribo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And we'll read the verses all together. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. We can all say this together. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Vishaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachade Shatarine. Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. So today we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam 9th canto entitled Liberation. And we're reading from the 14th chapter, King Pururava, enchanted by Urvashi. And we are going to start with text 40. Should I do a little recap, or I'll do a very quick recap for those who are new to this section of the Bhagavatam. This is the story of a king named Pururava, and he is earlier in the chapter he describes his parents and how he was born, and then this heavenly goddess Urvashi, she was cursed to come to the Earth planet. And then she found herself attracted to Pururava, and he was attracted to her, and so I think they married. But she had two rules, that she has these two sheep, and if these sheep, anything happens to them, they're done. Those two sheep are like her children. And then if she ever sees him naked, or he sees her, then they're done also. So then Indra, one day he's saying, my assembly is not beautiful anymore without Urvashi. So Gandharvas, please go find a way to bring her back. So these Gandharvas, they're so smart, they're so tricky. They go over to the house in the middle of the night, and they take the lambs. And Urvashi hears her lambs crying, and she's like, why do I even have a husband if you're not protecting my lambs? Like, she calls him a eunuch, actually. She's very heavy, and so he doesn't want to lose Urvashi, so he goes to save the lambs. He runs out in the middle of the night, and it's dark. So that's another factor. So he runs out, and he saves the lambs, and Urvashi runs outside as well. But then the Gandharvas, they emanate light from their body, and then she sees Pururava, and she's like, okay, I'm done. And she just disappears at that moment. So the Gandharvas had gotten what they liked. Then Pururava, he is lamenting a lot. And he goes to, he travels the earth like a madman until he finds Urvashi in the forest on the bank of the Saraswati at Kurukshetra. So then he goes up to her, and he's begging her, oh, my dear wife, oh, most cruel one, kindly stay, kindly stay. I know that I have never made you happy until now, but you should not give me up for that reason. This is not proper for you. Even if you have decided to give up my company, let us nonetheless talk sometime. So he's begging her to come back, and she's kind of schooling him. She says that, she's saying women as a class are merciless and cunning. They cannot tolerate even a slight offense. For their own pleasure, they can do anything irreligious, and therefore they do not fear killing even a faithful husband or brother. She's saying, don't let the foxes of your senses eat you. Because he falls on the ground, he's saying, I'm going to get eaten by these foxes and vultures. And she's like, she's basically saying your senses are uncontrolled. Don't let these foxes of your senses devour you. You should know better than to put your trust in someone like me. So it's kind of interesting because she came from this heavenly abode, and she had such a high standard of living. She was quite detached from her husband in that way. So we can start with text. Oh, actually, finally, Urvashi agrees. She says, my dear king, you will be able to enjoy with me as my husband at the end of every year for one night only. In this way, you will have other children one after another. Can someone please read text 40? Jaisha?
Understanding that Urvashi was pregnant, Pururava returned to his palace. At the end of the year, there at Kurukshetra, he again obtained the association of Urvashi, who was then the mother of a heroic son.
Having regained Urvashi at the end of the year, King Pururava was most jubilant, and he enjoyed her company and sex for one night. But then he was very sorry at the thought of separation from her. So Urvashi spoke to him as follows.
Urvashi said, my dear king, seeks shelter of the Gandharvas, for they will be able to deliver me to you again. In accordance with these words, the king satisfied the Gandharvas by prayers, and the Gandharvas, being pleased with him, gave him an Anistali girl who looked exactly like Urvashi. Thinking that the girl was Urvashi, the king began walking with her in the forest, but later he could understand that she was not Urvashi, but Agnistali.
King Pururava then left Agnishali in the forest and returned home, where he meditated all night upon Urvasi. In the course of his meditation, the Treta millennium began, and therefore the principles of the three Vedas, including the process of performing yajna to fulfill fruitive activities, appeared within his heart.
When the process of fruitive yajna became manifest within his heart, King Pururava went to the same spot where he had left Agnishtali. Then he saw that from the room of a shami tree an Ashwata tree had grown. He then took a piece of wood from that tree and made it into two Aranis. Desiring to go to the planet where Urvashi resided, he chanted mantras, meditating upon the lower Arani as Urvashi, the upper one as himself, and the piece of wood between them as his son. In this way, he began to ignite a fire.
Text 46. From Pururava's rubbing of the Aranis came a fire. By such a fire, one can achieve all success in material enjoyment and be purified in seminal birth, initiation, and in the performance of sacrifice, which are invoked with the combined letters Om. Thus the fire was considered the son of King Pururava.
By the means of that fire, Puruvara, who desired to go to the planet where Urvashi resided, performed a sacrifice by which he satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari, the enjoyer of the results of sacrifice. Thus he worshipped the Lord, who is beyond the perception of the senses and is the reservoir of all the demigods.
In the Satya Yuga, the first millennium, all the Vedic mantras were included in one mantra, Pranava, the root of all Vedic mantras. In other words, the Atharva Veda alone was the source of all Vedic knowledge. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, was the only worshipable deity. There was no recommendation for worship of the demigods. Fire was one only, and the only order of life in human society was known as Hamsa.
So we'll come back to this verse, and we can read the last verse.
O Maharaj Parikshit, at the beginning of Treta Yuga, King Pururava inaugurated a karma kanda sacrifice. Thus, Pururava, who considered the yajna fire his son, was able to go to Gandharva Loka as he desired.
Okay, Jai. So, who feels satisfied with this story? That it's all over. So this is actually kind of a cliffhanger. So Pururava, he does his sacrifice, and then he goes to Gandharva Loka, and then what? So I wanted to point out, I'll first discuss a few of the points of the section we're reading, and then I'll go into the verse, and we'll talk about the purport there. As we know, the 9th canto is called Liberation. So, we might be wondering, what's the point of this story of Pururava, where he's getting enchanted by this heavenly goddess, and then she disappears, and then he sees her again, and then she's like, okay, I'll be with you, and then there's another hoop to jump through, and now he has to do a sacrifice to go to the same place. He's just so enchanted with her. He's just... actually, I remember in the Bhagavatam, it describes in several other places, Urvashi is like one of the most beautiful beings in the universe. And so he really doesn't stand a chance. So he is, he's now doing yajna, he's doing sacrifice, he's doing religious activities in order to obtain the company of Urvashi. He's even endeavoring to satisfy the Supreme Lord, but for what purpose? In order to enjoy with Urvashi again. So the 9th canto, as we see, it comes right before the 10th canto. So can someone tell me what's in the 10th canto? Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Samam Bonam. So this 9th canto is meant to prepare us for Krishna's arrival. And one of the ways that it's preparing us for that, in one way, it's giving us the dynasty that Krishna will come in. This whole canto has been dealing a lot with dynasties. So Krishna, he actually comes in these families that we're talking about, all these thousands of years before. As we know, this is Treta Yuga and Krishna appears in Dwapara Yuga. So there's quite a time difference, but we're seeing the dynasty that Krishna will be coming in. And then a second thing is that this 9th canto is filled with so many stories to bring us detachment from this material world. We're seeing earlier on that Shobari Muni had fallen down due to sex desire. We're seeing, let's see. We're seeing later on that King Yayati, that's the theme of his pastime, is that he is so shackled by sex desire. And we're also seeing with King Pururava that this sex desire is causing him so much trouble. So what's the purpose of this is, and also additionally, the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra, they are the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, but also a theme that is being given in these pastimes of Lord Ramachandra is that he had to go through so much trouble because of his relationship. It describes that when one gets married, essentially there's a lot of trouble you have to go through. And so this is trying to purify us before we get to Krishna's pastimes, because when we get to the pastimes like Krishna's Rasa dance and other pastimes, if we are not cleansed in the heart, if we don't have the proper understanding, then we will make offenses, then we will not actually understand properly. I even know a few devotees, they would read all the first 9 cantos, and then, actually I think this temple did that. They read all the 9 cantos, and then they started back again at the first, because I believe, I think I might have read somewhere that if you still feel sex desire or lust or things like that, to not proceed after this 9th canto. Although I believe Srila Prabhupada did encourage us to read all the way through, and so it's a personal choice, but we're seeing the purpose of this pastime, and we're seeing the purpose of the 9th canto as well, in order to purify this deeply rooted attachment within us. Then another point is that it, at least for me, it feels a little unsatisfying that Pururava, he kind of he does this karma kanda sacrifice, and he just goes to Gandharva Loka, and maybe we assume that he's going to live happily ever after, but we know that that's not really the case in this material world. There's no happy ever after in the material world. So a reason why we're speaking about Pururava right now is because he has a comeback in the 11th canto. In the Aila Gita, Krishna is talking about Pururava, and he teaches us a very important lesson about detachment. And he comes to this point where he says, wow, I really went through so much trouble because of this attachment, because of this sex desire. So now that we have some context together, we'll go to text 48 and we'll read the Sanskrit. Eka eva pura veda Pranava sarvavanmaya Devo narayano nanya Ekagnir varna evacha Ekaiva pura vedaha Pranava sarvavanmaya Devo narayano nanya Ekagnir varna evacha. Please recite. Veda Pranava sarvavanmaya Devo narayano nanya Ekagnir varna evacha Eko Veda Pranava Sarvavadmaya Devo Narayano Nanya Ekognirvana Eva Cha Eko Eva Pura Vedaha Pranavaha Sarvavadmayaha Devo Narayano Nanya Ekognirvana Eva Cha Eva Pura Veda Pranava Sarvavanmaya Devo Narayano Nanya Okay, I guess we'll go to synonyms. All together. Eka, only one. Eva, indeed. Pura, formerly. Veda, book of transcendental knowledge. Pranava Omkara. Sarva Vakmanaya, consisting of all Vedic mantras. Deva, the Lord, God. Narayanaha, only Narayan was worshipable in the Satya Yuga. Na Anya, no other. Eka Agni, one division only for Agni. Order of life. Eva Cha, and certainly. Can someone read the translation? Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
In the Satya Yuga, the first millennium, all the Vedic mantras were included in one mantra, Pranav, the root of all Vedic mantras. In other words, the Atharva Ved alone was the source of all Vedic knowledge. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan was the only worshipable deity. There was no recommendation for worship of the demigods. Fire was one only, and the only order of life in human society was known as Hamsa.
Purport?
In Satya Yuga, there was only one Veda, not four. Later, before the beginning of Kali Yuga, this one Veda, the Atharva Veda, or some say the Yajur Veda, was divided into four, Sama, Yajur, Rig, and Atharva, for the facility of human society. In Satya Yuga, the only mantra was Omkar, Om Tat Sat. The same name, Omkar, is manifest in the mantra Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Unless one is a Brahmin, one cannot utter Omkar and get the desired result. But in Kali Yuga, almost everyone is a Shudra, unfit for pronouncing the Pranava. Omkar, therefore, the Shastras have recommended the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Omkar is a mantra or Mahamantra, and Hare Krishna is also a Mahamantra. The purpose of pronouncing Omkar is to address the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudev. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And the purpose of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra is the same. Hare, O energy of the Lord. Krishna, O Lord Krishna. Hare, O energy of the Lord. Rama, O Supreme Lord, O Supreme Enjoyer. The only worshipable Lord is Hari, who is the goal of the Vedas. Vedascha sarvaham eva vedyaha. By worshipping the demigods, one worships the different parts of the Lord, just as one might water the branches and twigs of a tree. But worshipping Narayan, the all-inclusive Supreme Personality of Godhead, is like pouring water on the root of the tree, thus supplying water to the trunk, branches, twigs, leaves, and so on. In Satya Yuga, people knew how to fulfill the necessities of life simply by worshipping Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The same purpose can be served in this age of Kali by the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra as recommended in the Bhagavatam. Kirtanad eva Krishnasya mukta sangha param vrajet. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one becomes free from the bondage of material existence and thus become eligible to return home back to Godhead.
Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, whatever I may speak is completely for my own purification. And if anyone finds anything helpful, then that is all Krishna's mercy. Yeah. So, Srila Prabhupada, he's quoting this verse, Kaler dosha nidhe rajan hyastyeko mahadguna kirtanad eva krishnasya mukta sangha param vrajet. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one becomes free from the bondage of material existence and thus becomes eligible to return home back to Godhead. Yeah. So, yeah, this is the great mercy of Lord Chaitanya. This is the great gift that we've been given, that often so many of us we might sometimes take for granted. This Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is the Yuga Dharma. It's the process for this age. We see that King Pururava, he was doing a fire yagya, which was the process for Treta Yuga, and he was able to obtain any result he desired because it was so powerful, this fire yagya. And similarly, this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, it is able to give us any result that we put our mind to. It's so very powerful. Previously, it was the Omkar. They would chant Om, and they would be addressing Lord Narayan. Yet Srila Prabhupada is making the point that in the purport, only the Brahmanas could chant this, only those who are qualified. But in the Kali Yuga, almost everyone is a Shudra, unfit for pronouncing the Pranava Omkara. Yet the Maha Mantra, Lord Chaitanya is so merciful that even us fallen people of Kali Yuga, we are able to chant this Maha Mantra. So Srila Prabhupada is giving us the translation for the Maha Mantra. O energy of the Lord, O Krishna, O energy of the Lord, O Supreme Lord, O Supreme Enjoyer. And we know to also say, please engage me in your service. Yeah, I find it, I was reflecting on our own chanting in that sometimes we can be like Pururava, where we're chanting and we have these material desires, and it depends on, at least for me, it depends on what state of material nature I'm in, if I'm in goodness, passion, or ignorance. But sometimes we find that these material desires, they're lurking in the back of our consciousness. They are haunting us. They're like a ghost. And even though we may be saying, oh, Krishna, please purify me. Krishna, please let me come close to you. These material desires are still there, and they're also asking for attention. They're also asking for the spotlight. And I know for me, sometimes even they come to the front. I'm chanting and I'm thinking like, Krishna, please let me be comfortable. Let me be, this or that. Let me, different things. And so we don't want to be like Pururava in this instance, where we are worshiping the Lord, but we're worshiping only for the sake of getting our material desires fulfilled. That's actually karmakanda. So Pururava, he was exemplifying karmakanda. And he did get the result. He went to Gandharva Loka, but that's not our goal. Our goal is not to go to Gandharva Loka. Our goal is to go to Krishna Loka. So that's why it's an offense. It's one of the 10 offenses to, one, to consider the chanting to be like karmakanda, to see it as an auspicious, ritualistic activity offered in the Vedas. And it's also an offense to maintain these material attachments even after understanding How many? So many instructions on this matter. So we have to be very diligent in our chanting. Actually, Lord Chaitanya, he gave us 2 prescriptions. He would say, chant the holy names and don't criticize devotees. Don't criticize the Vaishnava. So this chanting, it should always be the most prominent in our spiritual life. If we are putting it behind anything else, then things are going to go out of balance. If we say, oh, my chanting is struggling, but hey, I'm reading a lot, or oh, I'm leading a lot of kirtans, or oh, I'm doing a lot of deity worship, or I'm distributing a lot of books, but my chanting isn't there. The chanting is the basis, it's the foundation, it's the fuel for all these other activities. And if the chanting goes down, then eventually we won't be able to continue, because our taste will go for the material energy. Our taste will go towards the things of this world. So we have to learn to relish the chanting. Otherwise, these other things will present themselves to be more attractive. If we're chanting with offenses, we will feel in our heart that our material desires will increase. Our material desires, they will feel like an insurpassable mountain if we're not taking shelter of the holy name. And our services will feel dry. And we will feel, at least I felt this, if my chanting isn't going well, then even the slightest disturbance, I get very upset, or I'm always doubting, oh, am I in the right position? Am I doing the right thing? Am I in the right... These things come from the root, and the root is the chanting. The essence of our process is the chanting. I was just hearing in our Kalachanda youth chat, Krishnandalal Prabhu, he was sending this quote in which the devotee was saying that Srila Prabhupada, they would always ask him, Srila Prabhupada, can we chant this bhajan? Can we sing, something, something, Jaya, Jaya, Radhe, Radhe, this or that? And in a sense, Srila Prabhupada was saying that the songs of the Goswamis, they are as good as the chanting. But also when he was asked this question, he would say, you may chant, but mainly the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Mostly Hare Krishna. Yeah, so this is what we have to do. We have to keep it in the center. We have to keep it at the forefront. We have to, Mahaprabhu says, to make our japa the most important part of our day. So, yeah, because it's Krishna, because the holy name is non-different from Krishna. So if, let's say we put japa at the bottom of our priorities in the day, or let's say we put japa at our number 1 priority, Krishna, he'll put us at the number 1 priority to give his mercy to. That is, and if we say, oh, I have so many other things to do, I have work, I have, school, I have this, I have that, then Krishna, he might have other people to give mercy to at that time. Of course, he's infinite, he's unlimited, he can give mercy to everyone, but we're not really showing that we want it if we don't prioritize the chanting. So, come hell or high water, we have to keep on chanting, because that will be what takes us to the finish line. Really, that is what will sustain us. This relationship with the holy name is that daily practice, that daily commitment. The Christians say, every day pick up your cross. So this is us picking up our cross every day. When we pick up our beads and we make an intention that we're going to only focus on Krishna and his holy names. And we'll find that when we do chant attentively, when we do chant focused, it may be difficult at first, but eventually the taste will come. Eventually we will find, wow, I very much like to chant. I very much, I want to chant in any free time I have. I know this devotee in Mayapur, she has an alarm go off on her phone every so often. Her name is Yashamati Bhattaji. She's very senior. And her alarm is like, if you're not doing anything, chant. So we can also be like that. There's so much time that we waste in our day that we could be doing something very productive. We could be chanting. We could be doing the most important thing in our entire existence as souls, which is the chanting. We can actually, we forget sometimes what the chanting can actually bring, but this chanting, it starts with nama. It starts with the name. But we have to always remember that the nama turns into the guna, the qualities of Krishna. We'll start to gain realization of the qualities of Krishna. And then from guna we'll get rupa. Nama, guna, rupa, the form of Krishna. We'll be able to perceive the form of Krishna when we chant. And then after rupa, we'll get the lila. We will be able to eventually interact with Krishna's pastimes in the chanting. So it feels very far, it seems very far for us, and we're very unqualified. But that's the point. Lord Chaitanya knows how unqualified we are. Lord Chaitanya knows we are so fallen, we're so far away from the goal. But we still try, because we can be really amazed at how Lord Chaitanya can change us, how fast Lord Chaitanya can change our whole life if we simply focus on this chanting, if we simply put our heart into it. We see that the devotees in the earlier days of the movement, they were able to achieve things that were, superhuman. In previous years, just a few years ago, they were doing all kinds of unthinkable, abominable activities. And then, they meet Srila Prabhupada, and of course, there's so much mercy from Srila Prabhupada. But by the strength of the chanting, they were able to practically conquer the world. They were able to go to countries where they've never been before. They don't even speak the language. The government is hostile, and they're able to have this determination to share Krishna consciousness. So, yeah, that was, I think they're so lucky back then because it was so simple. Being a devotee, because being a devotee, it meant every morning, everyone is there and everyone is chanting together, and there's no phones, no phones at all, no phones in sight. And that's the only thing you're doing in the morning. That's the only thing you have to worry about. Because the phones have come into existence now, people expect us to respond to them at any time of the day. People expect us to be responsible at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. We feel like we have so much to do, so many things to see. I remember I was hearing in Prabhupada memories, the devotees were asking like, oh, can we get a phone for the temple? We can call the other temples with our phones. And Prabhupada was, he said, essentially, if you get a phone, there will just be gossip. So we did get phones. And I think we also had phones during Srila Prabhupada's time. They would call the other temples. But he was making this point that when we are overcomplicating our lives with so many things, it's such a struggle to chant. When we overcomplicate our lives with material desires, with differences with devotees, with, oh, I'm uncomfortable in this way. Oh, this isn't going the way I wanted it to. Oh, this devotee said that to me. We may think it doesn't have an effect, but it directly affects our chanting when we are not simple at heart, when we are not humble. When we're humble, we're able to really appreciate the chanting that we've been given. When we're humble, we're able to fully receive the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. But when we are taking everything for granted, and when we think, oh, I deserve this, the devotees should treat me better, or these things like that, it tells Krishna, hey, don't come. Essentially, we're saying that. I was thinking before, like, let's say, I'm a very puffed up individual. And so if Krishna were to, let's say I'm chanting one day and he reveals himself before me, if I still have contamination in my heart, then I could walk away from that being very proud. I could look at other devotees and be like, oh, I'm chanting so much more attentively than these other devotees. Oh, I'm seeing things that these other devotees aren't. And so it would actually be dangerous if Krishna didn't, if Krishna was giving us realizations beyond our capacity of humility. So really this humility is like our barometer of our spiritual capacity. The higher the humility, the higher we can intake in our spiritual lives. And the lower the humility, the more we have to kind of stay on the surface. And again, if we aren't humble and we delve into deeper topics of Krishna consciousness, into deeper topics of Krishna's pastimes, we'll take them very cheaply. We'll take them in an inappropriate way, and we'll make offenses. So, yeah, we have to keep the main thing, always, and continue to focus on our chanting. And we'll find that, over the years, this tree will bear fruit, and we'll see it. I was actually talking to my friend the other day, and there are some senior devotees in our movement, and, they may not, many of them have done incredible things, but maybe the devotee hasn't, opened 10 temples, and they have so many disciples, or, they've been temple president in so many places, and they distributed the most books. But maybe this devotee just kept their vows their whole life. And we see that just from doing that simple thing, they have so much Shakti, they have so much attachment to Krishna, they have so much depth in their Krishna consciousness. So, yeah, we might think, oh, we have to take over the world. We have to be a big someone. We have to, do something big. And it's true, Srila Prabhupada would say, you're American. Many of us aren't American, but we're here in America, so it applies to us. Americans need to do something big. But also, if we just focus on the basics, if we just focus on this principle of trying to chant and hear the name when we chant, to open our heart, to call out to Krishna, then we won't be lacking in anything. We won't, I didn't go to that party, that all the other devotees went to, and I stayed back and chanted. Oh, I might have missed out on that. Oh, I didn't go. Some devotees that they've never been to India, like, some devotees even in this temple, they've been in the movement for 50 years, and I was like, oh, have you ever been to India? And they're like, oh no, I haven't. But they're not missing anything less in their spiritual life because of it. Some devotees, they don't do any deity worship, yet still they're fully well-rounded devotees. Why? Because they adhere to the chanting. So they don't even need to, buy a ticket and fly to India. It might be inspiring for them. It might be helpful, but the chanting is really the focus. It's the focus of our whole movement. And so it's something that we should not forget. It's 8:22, so my rambling is wrapped up. Would anyone like to ask any questions or comments, concerns, criticisms? Yes, Nainavita. I don't know if I'm ready for this question or comment.
What happened to Purava after he went to Gandharvaloka?
That's a spoiler. I don't know if I should tell you or not. We'll get there soon, though. But essentially, he realizes that this relationship with Urvashi wasn't all that he thought it would be. He had such high expectations, and even we see earlier in this verse that Purava he begets a son, and he was still very sorry because she left the next day. So that's what happens to Purava. He gets disgusted with himself. He gets disgusted with the material world because he realizes that even if he gets what he's desired for so long, if he gets what he worked so hard for, it'll still never be satisfying. It's still like poison. And still, when we die, these things which we thought were so important or that really defined us as an individual or that we dedicate our whole life to, they will be gone. And we're going to have to deal with that. So that's what happened with Purava. He surrendered to Krishna and he went back to Godhead eventually. Jai. Any other points?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank you for
Krishna.
nice class and emphasizing on chanting. I just wanted to share what I read few years ago, a quote from Bhakti Rasamrita Maharaj. He said, most of the problems in devotees' life is because of inattentive chanting. So that kind of stuck with me all the time when I have some issues. I think maybe it's to do with my chanting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so true. All the problems start because as we say, the mind can turn heaven into hell and hell into heaven. And the uncontrolled mind, why is it uncontrolled? It's because we're not chanting. The less that we chant, the more the mind has free reign over our life. The less that we chant, or even the more inattentively we chant, we're in the boxing ring with the mind, and the mind is, pop, pop, pop. The mind is beating us down. And so if the mind is beating us every japa session, we pick up the beads and then we're like, okay, let me listen to the mind instead. The mind is just getting stronger. And when the mind gets stronger, the mind can really mess up our life. The mind can cause all these issues like you're saying. So, then our intelligence isn't strong anymore. The intelligence gets strengthened by the Shastra. Our intelligence gets strengthened by the chanting. But when the mind has conquered the intelligence, then we don't know what's right. We don't know what's wrong. We don't know if we're doing everything right. We don't know if we are where we need to be. And we just feel so lost. So, it might be a little cliche. Oh, just chant Hare Krishna. Oh, I'm struggling with this. Oh, just chant Hare Krishna. But we can't dismiss it either. Just because we hear it so much doesn't mean we can dismiss it. It's still so valid. You can go to as much therapy as you want. You can go to as many counselors. You can switch your job as many times as you like. You can move to as many different states or cities or countries but still someone came with you, and it's the mind. And until you deal with that, you're just always saying, oh, the grass is greener over here. Let me go to this grass. Oh, the grass looks greener there. And the mind is just playing games with you. It's just running you in circles until you sit down and you say, okay, you're done running the show. I'm going to chant. I'm going to hear. And we control the mind. And, it's not that we just shut our mind off. Okay, mind, you're done. But we tell our mind, oh, mind, please, Bhaja Hure Mana Shri Nandanandana. Oh, my mind, please chant. Oh, my mind, please be attached to Krishna. Oh, my mind, please associate with Krishna. Oh, my mind, please leave behind these other things. So the mind is a tool. The mind can be our friend. It's possible for the mind to be our friend. We just have to train it. And the training grounds are when we're holding our beads in our hand. And that's when we're either feeding the good dog or we're feeding the bad dog when we chant. There's no neutral state in our chanting. I heard from Vaisheshika Prabhu, he says, fear the fade. Fear the fade. What does that mean? He's saying that if our japa is not improving, it's not staying neutral, actually. There's no staying neutral with our japa. If it's not improving, it's fading. If it's not getting better, it's our taste is going down. So he was saying to us, fear the fade. We have to be on our toes. We have to be attentive to see, is our japa actually getting better or not? Jai, any other points or comments in this regard? By Charnaravinda Guru.
Thank you so much for the wonderful class. When it comes to lust, obviously we've heard that it is such a challenge, and it'll within the stages of bhakti it'll last for quite some time. So how do we deal with it? How do we practically work on it? What are some things that we can be doing, or any instructions or any ideas on how to deal with it?
Wow. Yeah. What a great question. That's that's what the Bhagavatam is wanting us to learn, is how to overcome this lust. Krishna says that lust is the eternal enemy of the soul. That's pretty scary, isn't it? To think of this huge enemy, and it's we're seeing that in this canto. It is so embarrassing to be overcome by lust. Strawberry Muni, he's such an elevated being, and he sees two fish mating, and he drops his whole practice. How embarrassing is that? I not to judge, but we are still conditioned, but lust embarrasses the living entity in such a painful way. We're seeing that, Pururava, he's just like a dog on a leash. He's just totally under the control of Urvashi. Whatever she says, she's like, okay, cook everything in just ghee and protect these two lambs. And, she has her whole list of rules, and then she leaves. And he's like, oh no, please come back. And she's like, okay, I'll give you once a year. And then even that, he's like, oh, I'm feeling so much separation, and he's not happy. And then she switches. She has a body double of this other heavenly damsel, and Purava notices, and he leaves her in the forest, and then he goes right back to Urvashi, and she says, she's telling him, take shelter of the Gandharvas. Another hoop to jump through. So Purava is just getting so embarrassed left and right by this lust. So what do we do about it? We have a few examples. One of our examples is Pururava, in that eventually we will have to get disgusted with it. Eventually, there's actually two ways to learn. You can learn the smart way, or you can learn the dumb way. And Mother Urmila, she has this prayer, Krishna, I'm done learning the hard way. I'm done learning the hard way. So we can either learn the hard way, like Pururava, where we just get pulled through the entire cosmos. We go from the earth to the heavenly planets, looking to satisfy these desires, just to realize, we've been chasing our own tail for so long, and we get disgusted. Or we can listen to the scriptures. We can listen to Shastra, and we know not to stick our hand in the fire. We pray to Krishna. Srila Prabhupada was saying, Dami Buddhi Yogam Tam. He gives us the intelligence to not chase our tail anymore, to not chase after these things. So, in one sense, that's one of the answers, is that we have to be intelligent and not chase it. But then, easier said than done. So how do we work on that? We chant Hare Krishna, and Krishna says, I give the understanding. So when we chant, Krishna will give us the understanding. He'll give us the strength. He'll give us the ability to deny lust. He'll give us the ability to overcome lust, to transform lust into love. We see with Haridas Thakur, he was, that's the famous example of how to deal with lust. It comes, and we see it, we acknowledge it. Oh, you've come to see me. Maya Devi herself comes to visit Haridas Thakur, and he says, just let me finish my chanting first, and then I'll get to you. So it might be kind of a theoretical thing. Oh, well, Haridas Thakur was chanting all night. Like, of course, it's Haridas Thakur, but we can actually experience this practically if our mind is telling us to do something not favorable to Krishna consciousness, if our mind is so loud, and we want to act on it, we want to do something about it, we want to give in. If we have the discipline, if we have the power to say, at least let me finish my 16 rounds first, then, we might still give in to the mind. We might still give in to the senses. But over time, if we have this policy, we're not saying no, we're not saying don't do it, but we're saying at least let me finish my chanting first. Then over time, we'll see, we feel it in our heart that, okay, I finished my chanting, but the desire disappeared. By the time I put the beads down, I feel clarity again. I feel, hey, I actually didn't have to do that. So it's both theory and it's practical that when we feel these desires, we kind of just create some space between us. I was actually hearing this concept of creating space between something difficult to confront is so practical. Someone was telling me once, if you're ever angry at a devotee, you really want to fight this devotee, you just say, Prabhu, I'm not in the space to, communicate right now. I'm going to go chant and I'll come back to you later. I want to give you my 100%, and right now I'm at 10%. I can't give you what you actually need right now in terms of my communication, in terms of my understanding. I'm not in the place right now. So, please forgive me if it seems selfish, but I want to show up in the best way I can for you. So please give me some space. Please give me some time. And then, we take some space, we chant our rounds. We should live by this principle that we okay, I'm not going to get into any fights until I finish my rounds. And then, suddenly the amount of fights you get into are so much less. So, we can even, finish our rounds and then put the boxing gloves right back on. Even if, we might not be perfect, we might not overcome it in that moment, but over time, Krishna will help us. Krishna will, at least the interaction will be better than if we hadn't done that at all. And then I had one final thought on this point about lust, is that sometimes we might have to, we tried avoiding it from the scriptures. We hear, don't interact with the objects of the senses, they'll entangle you. We tried that. It's still not going so well. Okay, chant Hare Krishna. We tried that. It's still there. It's still lingering. It's still hovering over our heads. We're praying to Krishna. We're saying, okay, let me finish our answers. And then at a certain point, we might have to just kind of make a concession, you could say. We might have to learn to dovetail it. We might have to learn, we can't expect to be perfect right now, but we can at least try to be regulated. We at least say, okay, I'll have the ice cream once a week. We at least try to make some regulations. So that's just not free reign. It's not just out of control. And as long as it's still within our control, then we have the power to advance. We have the power to gradually recede it. And, also if we have to dovetail it, we just have to dovetail it. We say, Krishna, I have this. We present it before Krishna, It's not the prettiest offering. It's not like some Raj Bhog with these gulab jamins and burfi. We have a plate full of some disgusting anarthas, and we put it before Krishna, and we're just like, Krishna, this is what I got right now. I'm chanting and I want to put my heart into it, but this is what's in my heart. This is all I have to show you. And he'll, Bhava Grahi Janarna, he'll accept the intention. He might not eat that plate full of anarthas. He might not, but he'll say, hey, I'm glad you brought it before me, and I'm going to help you with this. So, yeah, everything can be dovetailed in Krishna's service. So, Pururava, he had children in a regular. It wasn't even Pururava. He wasn't. She was still his wife, and he was still having children from his sex desire. It wasn't just like an animal. He may have gotten very attached. He might have gotten carried away, but still he was at least civilized to a degree. He was still at least regulated. And thus he was able to, overcome it eventually. So, yeah. Does that feel satisfactory? Any other comments or questions on this subject? Pururava, Urvashi. Thank you. All right. Well, this is right on time. I get a little sticker 1 minute early. Just kidding. All right. So, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Overcoming our attachments through the holy name ki jai. Thank you, Gokulan.
Points and that reflected your mature realizations. Very nice.
It's quite right because I'm one of the people. I'm one of the people mentioned. Thank you, Gokulan. Huh? Oh, okay. There'll be Pralamba Sura Prasad. I don't know. Pralamba Prasad. I just made that up. Your Babu. Jai Bhakti. Anyways, I only hope that after speaking about chanting, that's pretty cool. If you have lust, you should look at Krishna's eyebrows, right? In between the eyebrows.